Welcome back to Living in My Mind. It's been a while. I've been away for a little bit and now back on track. And one of the reasons I've been away has been going through a lot personally the last 4 weeks, from personal to family to struggling about whether or not it's worth it even being here. And I have some amazing people in my life, but then I realize the only person that makes a difference in my life is me. And it gets very daunting. It gets very overwhelming when I wake up in the morning and I think, it's me. How do I get through each day? It's not easy. For the last basically 3.5 weeks, I basically have isolated. I go eat, which is something I love to do. I've had plans with multiple people that I've canceled. I'm very honest with them, and I let them know to a degree, because it depends on who they are in my life. Just like you, certain people we put them in categories. Those that we do business with because we don't want them to think, oh, well, fuck, this guy's just psychotic, and how can I trust him? Or those people who are personal, who expect us to act a certain way and know that it's okay, that when we're sharing with them, they can trust that we're being open and honest. I think that's the biggest fear many of us have, are people are going to abandon us. I know I do. With my mom passing away, I sit there and I think, how do I deal with that? And it's been April, May, June, July, August, September, October. It's been about 7 months. And so what I decided to do is I created a daily journal with my mom. And it allows me to talk to her just like I would talk to her, the good, the bad, and the ugly of our conversations. And then I read it to myself, and I realize people say, "Oh, you're going to be okay." I don't ask people if that opinion, and no one needs to ask someone that. If someone's not in our life anymore, then we have to figure out the coping skills, because we got to make changes in our life to fill those voids. And I've been working on that, because I always told myself, when my mom goes, I'm going to go, because that's really been the only true friend I've ever had. There are people else in my life, my brother, other people, but they have someone. I've never really had anybody. And by choice and by my personality, by certain things about me that are very difficult, being intimate, getting close to someone because I'm afraid they're going to leave. I'm afraid this is going to happen, or my psychosis is going to fucking take over, and how are they going to handle it? And so I don't really share that much. And I finally realized that being alone might be what it's all worth. But I also put together a list this last week. I wrote a couple letters, emails actually, and I haven't sent them, just to people saying goodbye, because I figure my life's going to end by me taking it, or an extreme tragedy of violence, because of who I've dealt with and who I still deal with, and because I have a hard time and my psychosis takes over, and certain things trigger me out in public to where I sometimes can't control myself, and I put myself in positions, or driving in a car, someone cuts me off. I still get this psychosis in my mind about, how do I handle this? I'm going to go psychotic. Well, fuck them, this, that. Then I realize I got to breathe, because every day I have a purpose, and I know I make a difference in people's lives. But I think the big thing any of us have to deal with, how do we make a difference in our lives? So when I wrote this list, it was like the pros of living versus the cons. The pros of living are, it's one gift we have from God. And there's wonderful things to see, wonderful things to do, people to meet. It's a never-ending cycle of situations and enjoying our life. And there's family, there's friends, and all those different things. There's always those wonderful, positive things we tell ourselves. But when we get in that place mentally to where we don't care, and we would just want to not be around, and we want to go to sleep, or we want someone else to do it for us so we don't look like a coward, so we engage other people, then we affect other people negatively. Those are things that I go through my head. The positives are, I've got some beautiful people in my life. I'm doing some wonderful things. I know each day I get an opportunity to help people, and people get an opportunity to meet me and help me. My nephew has a little boy who's just this angel, and I know this little boy helped keep my mom alive for the last year of her life. I know that because the smile on her face, not seeing me or hearing me, but when this little boy was there, it was the most beautiful thing to see. And those are the pros. The cons are, Or maybe I got it backwards. I don't have to deal with the pain every day. I don't have to wake up and be nervous that people are going to like me or love me or care. I don't have to worry about what I say, how I dress, what I do. I don't have to worry if anybody's going to miss me or if anybody cares. I don't have to sit there and think to myself, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? There are some pros in my mind about just ending it because it's very difficult, because what I live in my head, I like to share, but it's exhausting, it's overwhelming, it's sad, it's painful. And I start thinking these things at night, and then I write these things out, and then I realize, well, tomorrow I've got to be responsible. I got to keep being responsible. I have commitment to people, commitment to others. I owe people this, I owe people that, and it's because it's the truth. I do owe them for things that I'm doing in life. But at the same time, it's like, fuck, it would be so much easier. It'd be so much nicer. Now, I'm Catholic. Don't mean shit to a lot of people. It doesn't mean shit to me at times. People say, well, that's a coward's way out, or, it's against your religion. Those are man-made rules. You can interpret what you want or say that God made them. I don't know what the deal is. But if you're not here, you're not here. If I'm not here, sure, people will miss me, but you know what? They'll go on living. Just like I have a lot of guilt that I've done on living without my mom here. And there's days where I don't think about her. They literally are. There's times where I don't think about it. Then when I do, it's overwhelming. It's heartbreaking. Then I think to myself, well, fuck, I don't know how people have relationships, because if that person you're with passes away, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with that person passing? You have to. If you have children, you do it because you got to move forward. And I have different people in my life who've lost a spouse or a significant other, and they've moved forward. And when they keep saying it's because of the kids, in my mind, okay, that's nice, but you got to do it for yourself. I keep moving forward because I'm hoping that the things that I do make a bigger difference in my life, and I continue making a difference in other people's lives on a bigger scale soon. And being honest with people, they get to realize that, hey, I'm not a hypocrite. That's one thing I won't be. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make you feel any different than honesty. Over the last 6-7 months, I've lost 2 very dear friends. One circumstantial, and I don't mean died. I mean, I just walked away. And I sit back and I think sometimes, well, gee, that person, I had some fun, but then again, the dysfunction, the toxicity, I don't want them in my life. I recently lost one of my dearest friends for over almost 50 years because he didn't like that I put something about being woke on the internet. And then he tried to tell me I was wrong, and, that this country's coming for a reckoning, and, I need to engage him in a conversation to learn. And I said, look, I love you, but you have an opinion, I have mine. I'm not interested. Now, I will never speak with the person again. And I told his wife, the day he passes away, I have no interest in hearing anything, because he had made some negative comments about my mom, and my mom passed away. And it's like, wow, you're going to be that low, you're that pathetic. But then again, I could do all these things in my mind. Well, here's what you said about my mom. And the reality is, he said my mom used the N-word. My mother never used the N-word. And this is a person who has issues with race, who has issues with people who are different, with different sex, who identify differently, or the fact that we want to have people that are transgender, the kids. And I'm like, look, you have your opinion, but I'm not going to engage you. That's your issue. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind about how I feel. All I'm trying to say is, look, I go through these things, and I identify with these things, and you can come out on the other end rather than saying, well, I'm going to end it or end it. I've been close to 2 different people in my life who've committed suicide. One of them, I was driving to the house to pick him up to take him to treatment. And it was a devastating thing, and then I realized it's not about me. Whatever pain he went through, I finally have realized in my life that I'd rather deal with this pain now, because I can, because once you take your life, you don't have a chance to deal with the pain. And I got a smile on my face because it's almost like, wow, we want to get rid of it, but we don't realize it is a blessing to go through what I go through on a day-to-day basis. It's a blessing to hate myself, to look at myself in the mirror and say, God, you're fucking ugly. God, you're disgusting. No one's going to want anything to do with you. But then when I step back, I realize that I have those opportunities, and I meet people. And if we think negative about ourselves, a lot of times people are going to think negative. We all put on a show. When I say we put on a show, I don't mean like some vaudeville or some bullshit like that. But we all have people in our lives, situations that are categorical. So how do you act in a restaurant you go to? How do you act with someone you work with? How do you act with a stranger? How do you act when you meet someone at a baseball game or a hockey game or what have you? People know us from a different way. And a lot of times people say, well, I didn't know that about you. Well, number one, you don't ask. And I get very sad at times because I figure, shit, very few people are asking me how I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Because the work I do takes care of a lot of people. And I love it. I got no issues with it. Sometimes I wish, well, fuck. But the bottom line is it helps keep me going. And that's the beauty of this. Some wonderful people working in this industry that I do. I've met some amazing people, and I met some pieces of shit. It's one fucked up industry. You know, it's really full of people who are narcissistic. Every industry is. Everybody wants to talk about people who do Hollywood, and they're minute compared to what the real world is. And it's a real world for them. But there's narcissism everywhere. And we all have to be narcissistic. My narcissism keeps me alive every day. It literally does. And I realize I'll isolate because I'm afraid. But I'm afraid of what? I'm afraid of me. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of the truth. I have to let go. I have to enjoy it. But when I wrote this thing about pros and cons, it came out on there's many more pros to commit suicide for me than there are things to live for. And that's a decision I have to deal with at some point. I don't plan on doing it. I'm the type of person, it would happen in an instant. I'm the type of person, if I got pulled over by the police and it was a very bad day, I would do something stupid. I know that in my head, so that's why I'm very law-abiding now. I said lie there. I'm not lying. And there's humor in it. I have to find humor in it. My mother and grandmother, who two great ladies, went through more hell than anybody I've ever met in my life. They found humor in a lot of the things they went through. And when it comes to losing somebody, I'm never going to have my mom back. I have the thoughts. I have her spirit. I have everything about her, which is beautiful and wonderful. And I got a lot of her in me. It's really interesting. And you can hear it. You can see it. People know it. Because my mother and I had no filter. My mother and I will tell you like it is. My mother and I had our issues. My mother and I have a lot of background issues. But the thing to me, it's all about choices. And I'm learning that the choices I make daily have to benefit me. How many of you wake up in the morning and your life is like the movie Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray? Fun movie. Seeing it twice would kill you. It's like watching any Adam Sandler's movie over and over. Don't know, but some of them are great. The guy can act, he can write, he's got great things. But what I'm saying is, all of us have a lot of things we do the same thing over and over. Every person who's looking at this, if you're looking at it or you watch it, when you shower in the morning and dry yourself off, you do the same thing every morning. You have the same cadence of what towel you use, where you wipe, how you wipe, blah, 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 this, that. When someone puts their makeup on, it's a daily way of doing it. You have step one, blah, blah, blah. You know, when you get dressed, we all do those things. We don't even think about that. And I think the cadence with staying around and wanting to live is, okay, here's the schedule. I've learned that I got to have a schedule, that I put together a schedule daily. And that daily schedule, bad day, I got to get this done. I got to be there. Two of the most amazing people I've met in the last 6-8 months are the individuals who deal with Mastermind Media. One of the things with Mark and Jai, we'll have a conversation. I'll get an email. It's set. Here's a time. It's so structured. It's like, wow, amazing. That motivates me. Not that I'm going to send a fucking email out half the time, but I see that it's doable. I see that it helps keep me. Any of us who think we can do this alone, we can't. I don't care. There's nothing we can do alone other than kill ourselves. And that's the reality there. We need other people. We need people to help us. And that's the one thing I'm realizing is I've just in the last 6 months actually had people help me do more. Help take what I've done and help me make it better. Help me get it out there. And that's the beauty of this. And so you never know who you might meet. Never take away the opportunity for another person to learn from you. That's another thing I'm realizing. The day I go, I truly believe that there are people who will meet me, that I'm taken away from them to learn from me and realize it's okay to be how they are. You just got to stick around. So I'm not staying around because I feel like I'm going to cheat somebody. The only person who would be cheated is me. And I'm not sticking around because of my family. I'm not sticking around because I'm in love with somebody. I'm not sticking around because I love God, and I do. I'm sticking around because the opportunities are untapped. And it's hard because it is sometimes, any of us, I think, go to bed sometimes. Everybody has this comment. You ever hear someone say, well, God, I wish I was dead. Or, God, it's just too much. I work in an industry where people tell me they've had suicidal thoughts all the time. If you haven't had them, you're lying. Whether or not you're joking about it or it's just so exhausting, doesn't mean you have a plan. But I've met many people that do have plans, and so that's frightening. And when you have a plan, that means you're one step closer to saying goodbye. I don't want to say goodbye. At the moment, I'm not. I'm doing what I need to do. But the one thing I've learned, and I want to leave this on this, is the only way I'm ever going to change, I can talk about it. We can all talk about things, which we do. We all talk. I mean, think about it. We all have friends who talk about building a great, writing a book, have a script. My friends, in all due respect, whoop-de-fucking do. You got to put it in action. I'm blessed to have many people around me now who put things in action. But remember, you have to have a choice. And once you make a choice, you got to have some action. The action is going to help you change. We all have the power to change. We can change our mind cognitively. We can change something that we think about negatively to something positive. It's not easy, but we can do it. So I just wanted to share this with you today. I'm sure there are people who feel what I feel. Hopefully this has helped you understand. You can text the number below, reach out, let's communicate. But the reality is, this all depends on me to stay where I'm at. Nobody else. One of the things many of us do, we give the power away. My life is great because of this person, what if they're gone? One thing I never said is my life is great because my mom's in it. No, it was hell. We had a lot of shit going on when we were younger through life, but it was also beautiful at the same time. So thank you for listening. Hopefully this has helped in some way. You got something from this. But again, thank you for listening to Living in My Mind. My name's Dennis Henning, and let me know if we can help in any way.